The Grand Chamber was the most impressive place in the galaxy. It floated in space above the Council homeworld, a massive station where dozens of alien species gathered. Today, the chamber was full. Representatives from every corner of known space sat in their designated seats, watching the humans standing in the center. High Counselor Vex Theron looked down at the human delegation. He was old, very old. Over 400 years had passed since his hatching. His scales gleamed under the chamber lights, dark green and covered with scars from ancient wars. He had seen many young species come before the council. They always learned to obey. Humans would be no different. Secretary General Bora Choi stood straight, her face calm. Next to her was Dr. Hannah Park, the human expert on alien cultures. They had known this day would come. For years, the council had been watching Earth with growing concern. Humans were developing too fast, expanding too quickly, asking too many questions. Vexatheron's voice echoed through the chamber. It sounded like rocks grinding together. Humanity has violated Council Law 47 times in the past decade. You have built ships without permission. You have colonized worlds and neutral zones. You have researched technologies that threaten galactic stability. Bora Choi kept her hands relaxed at her sides, but Dr. Park could see the tension in her jaw. We have broken no laws, Choi said clearly. We have only done what every species does. We grow, we learn, we explore. You grow too fast, Ambassador Kelmora spoke from her seat. She was an insectoid being, her many eyes reflecting the light. In 50 years, you have achieved what takes other species 500. This is unnatural. This is dangerous, Dr. Park stepped forward. With respect, Ambassador, you call it dangerous because it frightens you. We have evidence that council members have sabotaged our trade routes. Ships carrying human goods mysteriously lose power near council checkpoints. Our messages to potential trading partners never arrive. You have been trying to slow us down for years. The chamber erupted in noise. Aliens clicked, buzzed, and roared in dozens of languages. Vex Theron slammed his staff on the floor. The sound boomed like thunder. Silence fell immediately. Lies, Vex Theron said coldly. Humans always make excuses. The Council has maintained peace for 10,000 years. We know what happens when young species are left unchecked. They start wars. They destroy themselves and others. So you cage them, Choi said quietly. You decide who can grow and who cannot. Who gave you that right? 10,000 years of peace gave us that right, Vex Theron replied. Now you will listen to our terms. Humanity will cease all expansion beyond your home system. You will dismantle your military fleet. You will submit all research and development to Council oversight. You will accept Council observers on every human world. Dr. Park felt her heart sink. These were not terms for negotiation. These were terms for surrender. They wanted to make humanity weak, dependent, controlled. And if we refuse? Choi asked. Fleet Admiral Torgan stood. He was a crystalline being, his body made of living mineral that sparkled with inner light. If you refuse, we will enforce compliance. Your system will be blockaded. No ships in, no ships out. Your colonies will receive no supplies. Your people will learn what happens when the Council is disobeyed. Choi looked at Dr. Park. They had prepared for this moment, but hearing it spoken aloud made it real. The Council was willing to starve billions of humans to maintain their control. We need time to consult with our government, Choi said. 48 hours. Vexatheron waved a clawed hand dismissively. You have 48 hours. When you return, you will accept our terms. There is no other option for your species. He leaned forward, his ancient eyes fixing on Choi. Do not make the mistake of thinking you can resist. Every species that has challenged the Council has learned to regret it. The human delegation turned and walked out of the chamber. They moved through the corridors of the station in silence. Other aliens watched them pass, some with pity, others with satisfaction. Everyone knew what was happening. The humans were being put in their place. Their ship was docked in the lower section. Captain Jiwoo Lee waited for them at the airlock. He was young for a ship captain, only in his early 30s, but his eyes held old pain. He had lost his parents and sister when a Council trade embargo caused supply shortages on the Mars colony. He knew exactly what the Council was capable of. Well, Lee asked as they boarded. It's as bad as we feared, Dr. Park said. They want total submission. Lee's jaw tightened. What do we do? Choi looked out the viewport at the Council station, at the massive fleet of alien ships surrounding it. She thought about Earth, about the colonies on Mars and the moons of Jupiter. about the millions of humans living in space habitats throughout the solar system. All of them depended on what happened next. "Get us out of here," she said, "and send a message to Admiral Kim. 3 words only." Lee nodded and moved to the communications console. His fingers moved over the controls, entering the encrypted channel that only Earth's military command could access. He typed 3 words that would change everything. "Initiate protocol silence." The ship's engines hummed to life. As they pulled away from the Council station, Lee watched the alien fleet through the sensors. Council ships were everywhere, weapons ready, shields raised. They were so confident, so certain of their power. They had no idea what was coming. Humanity had been preparing for this day for 20 years. Every insult, every sabotage, every threat had been carefully recorded and analyzed. And while the Council thought humans were primitive and weak, humanity had been working in secret, developing technologies the Council didn't know were possible. The choice was made. Humanity would not submit, and very soon the Galactic Council would learn what happened when they tried to cage the one species in the galaxy that had never accepted defeat. Admiral Tae-Young Kim stood in the command center deep beneath the surface of Earth. Screens surrounded him, showing data from every human colony, every ship, every station in the solar system. His silver hair was neatly combed, his uniform crisp. He looked calm, but everyone who worked with him knew that his mind was moving at incredible speed, calculating possibilities, planning moves others couldn't see. The message from Captain Lee had arrived 3 hours ago. 3 simple words that meant everything had changed. Protocol silence was something they had hoped never to use, but the Council had left them no choice. "Start the sequence," Kim said quietly. Around the solar system, things began to happen. On Mars, colonists received coded messages and immediately shut down all external communications. On the orbital habitats circling Jupiter's moons, families looked at each other with understanding and switched off their transmitters. In the asteroid belt, mining stations went dark. Every human vessel, from the smallest cargo ship to the largest transport, stopped broadcasting. Within 6 hours, humanity had gone completely silent. On the Council station, Ambassador Kelmora noticed it first. She was reviewing reports when an aide brought disturbing news. "Ambassador, we've lost all communication with human territories. Every channel is dead." Kelmora's compound eyes narrowed. "Technical failure?" "No, Ambassador. It's too coordinated. Every human signal stopped at almost the same moment. Even their commercial broadcasts are gone. It's like they just disappeared." She felt something cold settle in her stomach. This wasn't panic. This was planning. "Inform the High Counselor immediately." Vexatheron laughed when he heard the news. "They're hiding like frightened children. This confirms everything we believed about them. Send the fleet to their system. They'll see our ships and come crawling back to negotiate." But Observer Linari, a being made of swirling gases and light, spoke from her chamber. "High Counselor, I must disagree. This silence feels deliberate, coordinated. It happened too quickly to be fear." "Your concern is noted and dismissed," Vexatheron said. "Fleet Admiral Torgan, proceed with the blockade." 3 days passed. The Council fleet arrived at the edge of the Sol system. Hundreds of powerful warships taking positions around every possible entry and exit point. They expected resistance. They expected desperate transmissions. They expected humans to at least try to fight or flee. Instead, they found nothing. Human ships were still there, drifting in their usual orbits. But they showed no power signatures, no life signs, no communications. It was as if every human had simply vanished. "This is wrong," Torgan muttered, staring at his tactical display. "Ships don't just stop like this. Where are they getting power? How are they staying warm? Why aren't we detecting anything?" His second-in-command offered, "Perhaps they truly have surrendered, Admiral. Perhaps they're waiting for us to board them." "No," Torgan said. "I've been a warrior for 300 years. I know the difference between surrender and preparation. They're hiding something." Inside Earth's command center, Admiral Kim watched the Council fleet position itself. Dr. Park stood next to him, along with Secretary General Choi, who had returned from the Council station. Engineer Min Ho Young sat at a nearby console, his fingers dancing over holographic controls. "They think we've given up," Young said with a slight smile. "Perfect. Are we ready?" Choi asked. Kim nodded slowly. 20 years of preparation. Every colony has been briefed. Every ship has been retrofitted. Every soldier knows their role. The question is not whether we're ready. The question is whether we're willing to show them what we've become. Dr. Park spoke quietly. Once we do this, there's no going back. The galaxy will see us differently. Some will fear us. Some will hate us. They already fear and hate us, Choi replied. That's why we're in this situation. At least now they'll also respect us. 7 days after the silence began, the council was becoming nervous. High Counselor Vexatheron called an emergency session. How can an entire species simply disappear? Where are they? They're still in their system, Torgan reported. Our sensors detect the mass of their colonies, their ships, everything. But it's like they've somehow blocked every form of communication and scanning. We can't see inside their vessels. We can't detect life signs. It's technology we don't understand. Technology they shouldn't have, Kelmora added thoughtfully. We've been monitoring their development for decades. Nothing in their public research suggested they could create this level of stealth. Which means they've been hiding their true capabilities, Observer Linari said. High Counselor, I strongly recommend we withdraw the fleet and open negotiations. This silence is a warning. Vexatheron slammed his staff down. We do not negotiate with species that defy us. We wait. Eventually, they must respond. No one can hide forever. But that night, everything changed. Every council communication channel suddenly activated at once. On every screen in every language, the same message appeared. It was Secretary General Bora Choi, standing in what appeared to be Earth's government center. Her voice was calm, steady, and absolutely certain. The Galactic Council demanded our answer. Silence was our answer. For 7 days, you have surrounded our system with warships, trying to intimidate us into submission. You have failed. We will not submit to your ultimatum. We will not dismantle our fleet. We will not accept your observers. We will not stop our expansion. She paused, and her eyes seemed to look directly through the screen. You believed we were weak because we are young. You believed we would surrender because you have always been obeyed. You were wrong. Humanity does not submit. We adapt, we overcome. And now we will demonstrate exactly why your ultimatum was a mistake. The transmission ended, and across the Sol system, human ships began to move. Fleet Admiral Torgan watched his tactical display with growing confusion. The human ships that had been drifting silently for days were now moving, but not in any pattern he recognized. They weren't forming battle lines. They weren't fleeing. They were positioning themselves in a strange geometric pattern around his fleet. What are they doing? His second officer asked. I don't know, Torgan admitted, but ready all weapons. If they're planning to attack, we'll show them what real military power looks like. Then the space around them began to shimmer. At first, Torgan thought it was a sensor error. But the shimmer grew stronger, like heat waves in air, except this was happening in the vacuum of space. And then ships began to appear. Not human ships moving into view, but ships that had been there all along, invisible. Hundreds of them. Sleek, dark vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They surrounded the council fleet completely, having been hidden in plain sight for days. Captain Jiwoo Lee sat in the command chair of the Silence Bearer, one of those dark ships. His crew worked quietly around him, their movements practiced and precise. They had been holding position in stealth mode for 3 days, waiting for this exact moment. All stealth ships are in position, Captain, his communications officer reported. Admiral Kim sends his regards and says to begin Phase 2. Lee allowed himself a small smile. Activate the cascade fields. Throughout the human fleet, engineer Min Ho Yang's inventions came to life. The cascade field generators had taken 15 years to develop, and the council had no idea they existed. They worked by creating ripples in the fabric of space itself, disrupting electronic systems and energy fields. On Torgan's flagship, alarms began to sound. Admiral, weapons systems are failing. Shields are fluctuating. FTL drive is showing critical errors. Across the entire council fleet, the same thing was happening. Mighty warships that had dominated the galaxy for centuries suddenly found themselves helpless. Weapons wouldn't fire. Shields flickered and died. Even basic communication systems began to fail. How are they doing this? Torgan shouted. This is impossible. Our technology is proven over thousands of years. A communication channel opened, audio only. Admiral Kim's calm voice filled the bridge. Fleet Admiral Torgan, my name is Admiral Taeyang Kim of the United Earth Defense Fleet. Your ships are currently caught in quantum cascade fields. Every electronic system you have is being disrupted at the subatomic level. You cannot fight. You cannot flee. You cannot even call for help. Torgon's crystalline body pulsed with angry colors. This is an act of war. The Council will crush you for this. No, Kim replied patiently. This is a demonstration. You came here to blockade us, to force us into submission. Instead, I want you to understand something very important. We could have destroyed your fleet. We chose not to. We could have killed every member of your crew. We chose not to. We are showing you mercy, Admiral. Remember that when you make your report to the Council. Mercy? Torgon said bitterly. You call this mercy?
Yes, Kim said simply.
Because you're all still alive. Your ships are intact. When we release you, you'll be able to fly home. But you need to understand what you're dealing with. The Council believes humanity is primitive, that we're children who need guidance. You're wrong. While you were resting on your ancient achievements, we were innovating. While you were comfortable in your power, we were learning. While you were assuming we would obey, we were preparing for exactly this moment. In the command center on Earth, Dr. Park watched the situation unfold on dozens of screens. All Council ships are disabled, she reported. No casualties. No major damage. Everything is going according to plan. Secretary General Choi nodded. How long until they realize we're not bluffing about having more technology? About 30 seconds, Engineer Yang said, looking at his readouts. The cascade fields are also scanning their ships, copying their technology, analyzing their weaknesses. By the time we release them, we'll know everything about how Council ships work. Choi felt a moment of doubt. What they were doing would change humanity's relationship with the galaxy forever. There would be consequences. But then she remembered the Council's ultimatum, the dismissive way they had treated human dignity, and her resolve hardened. How long do we keep them disabled? She asked Admiral Kim. Kim checked the time. 6 hours should be enough. Long enough to make our point, short enough to show we could have done much worse. Those 6 hours felt like an eternity for the Council fleet. Torgon and his officers sat in their disabled ships, completely helpless, surrounded by human vessels they couldn't even detect properly. Every second reinforced the same terrible truth. They had been completely outmaneuvered. When the 6 hours ended, the cascade fields deactivated. Systems began to come back online throughout the Council fleet. But before anyone could react, another transmission came from Admiral Kim. Your ships are functional again, Admiral Torgon. You're free to leave. But I want you to deliver a message to High Counselor Vexatherin. Tell him that what he witnessed today was a small demonstration. We have technologies he cannot imagine. Weapons we chose not to use. Capabilities we have kept hidden. The Council demanded we stop our development. We refuse. Any future attempt to enforce your will upon humanity will be met with the full extent of our capabilities. Kim paused, and when he spoke again, his voice was harder. And tell him this, we showed you mercy today. We will not be so generous a second time. Humanity will not be caged. We will not be controlled. We will take our place in this galaxy as equals, not subjects. The Council can accept this reality peacefully, or they can learn it the hard way. The choice is theirs. The transmission ended. Throughout the Council fleet, officers looked at each other in shock. Fleet Admiral Torgon, the warrior who had fought for 3 centuries, sat in his command chair and realized that for the first time in his long life, he had been completely defeated without a single shot being fired. Captain Lee watched the Council ships begin their retreat. They moved slowly, cautiously, like animals that had just discovered they were not the apex predators they thought they were. It's done, Lee said quietly. The Council will never look at humanity the same way again. No, his first officer replied. But the question is, what will they do next? The Grand Chamber had never been so loud. Dozens of alien species shouted, clicked, buzzed, and roared at each other in a chaos that threatened to tear apart 10,000 years of careful diplomacy. High Counselor Vexatherin stood at the center, his staff raised, trying to restore order. Silence, he roared, and finally the chamber quieted. We face a crisis unlike any in Council history. The humans have humiliated our fleet and rejected our authority. We must respond. Ambassador Kelmora rose from her seat. Her many eyes reflected the chamber lights as she spoke carefully. High Counselor, I have analyzed the technology the humans used. It operates on principles we do not understand. They have somehow learned to manipulate space at the quantum level. This is not just advanced technology. This is revolutionary science, and so what do you suggest? Vex Theron demanded. That we simply accept their defiance? I suggest we recognize reality, Kelmora said firmly. The humans are not the primitive species we believe them to be. They think differently than we do. While we have spent centuries perfecting what we already know, they have been discovering entirely new ways of understanding the universe. A representative from the Thermal Collective, a species of beings that lived in extreme heat, spoke up. Ambassador Kelmora is correct. My species has been secretly trading with humans for years. They share knowledge freely. They collaborate across their entire species in ways we never have. This is their strength. Vex Theron's scales darkened with anger. You have been trading with them illegally? Not illegally, the representative replied calmly. The Council never officially banned trade with humans. You simply made it difficult. But many of us continued because human goods are valuable. Their art, their music, their stories. They have something we lost long ago. Passion. Fleet Admiral Torgan entered the chamber, still wearing his military uniform. His crystalline body looked duller than usual, as if the light inside him had dimmed. He walked slowly to his position and spoke in a voice that all could hear. I have served the Council fleet for 300 years, he began. I have fought in 17 wars. I have never retreated from battle. But I am here to tell you that if we attack the humans again with conventional forces, we will lose. Not might lose, will lose. The chamber erupted again. Many voices called out in disbelief. Torgan waited for quiet, then continued. They disabled our entire fleet without destroying a single ship. They could have killed us all, but they chose mercy. This tells me two things. First, they have even more powerful weapons they did not use. Second, they are not the warlike savages we claim them to be. They are strategic, disciplined, and far more advanced than we realized. Observer Lin Ari's gaseous form swirled with complex colors as she spoke. I warned you this would happen. I told you the silence felt wrong. The humans were not hiding in fear. They were preparing, and now we face a choice. Do we escalate this conflict or do we seek peace? Peace? Vex Theron spat the word. They defied us. They made fools of our military. If we accept this, every other species will think they can challenge the Council. Perhaps that would not be such a bad thing, Linari said softly. Perhaps we have held power for so long that we forgot why we have it. The Council was meant to keep peace, not to control everyone. A younger Council member representing a species that had joined only 2,000 years ago stood. High Counselor, my people remember what it was like to be the new species. The Council helped us, guided us, but they did not cage us. Why are humans different? Vex Theron's eyes narrowed. Because they are too dangerous. They advance too quickly. They question too much. They refuse to accept the natural order. Or perhaps, Ambassador Kelmora said, we are too old, too set in our ways, too afraid of change. The humans scare us not because they are dangerous, but because they remind us that we have stopped growing. The chamber fell silent at this. It was a truth many had felt, but few dared speak. Vex Theron looked around at the assembled representatives. He saw doubt in many eyes, fear in others. But he also saw something else, curiosity. Despite everything, many council members wanted to know more about these humans who had accomplished the impossible. Very well, he said heavily. We will put it to a vote. Should the council authorize a larger military action against humanity? Or should we attempt negotiation? The vote was close. In the end, military action won by a narrow margin. But it was not the overwhelming support Vex Theron had expected. Many species abstained. Others voted against it openly. The council was divided for the first time in millennia. As the session ended, Observer Linari drifted to a private communication terminal. She had made her decision. What the council was planning was wrong, and someone needed to warn the humans. She sent a coded message to Earth through channels she had kept secret for years. The message was simple. The council votes for war. A larger fleet is being assembled. Some of us believe you are right to resist. Be prepared. On Earth, Dr. Hannah Park received the message. She immediately brought it to Admiral Kim and Secretary General Choi. They gathered in the command center, reading the words with grim understanding. We knew this might happen, Choi said. The question is, how far are we willing to go? Admiral Kim looked at the star map showing the positions of Council forces throughout the galaxy. We showed them we could disable their fleet. Next time, we may need to show them we can do much worse. Engineer Yang, how are the other projects progressing? Minho Yang pulled up holographic displays showing various weapon systems. all far more powerful than the Cascade fields. Everything is ready. But Admiral, if we use these, there's no going back. The galaxy will see us as a threat. They already see us as a threat, Dr. Park said quietly. Now we just need to decide if we want to be a threat they respect or a threat they try to eliminate. Choi made the decision. We prepare for total war, but we offer them one more chance at peace. Send a message to the Council. Tell them we know they're preparing another attack. Tell them we have weapons they cannot imagine. And tell them that if they choose war, we will defend ourselves with everything we have. The message was sent. Now humanity could only wait to see if the Council would accept peace or force them to demonstrate just how far human innovation had progressed. Either way, the galaxy was about to change forever. Captain Jiwoo Lee's stealth ship drifted silently in the darkness between stars. He had been on reconnaissance missions before, but never this deep into Council territory. His crew of 12 worked in complete silence, their instruments set to passive mode only. They were watching, listening, gathering intelligence. What Lee discovered made his blood run cold. "Captain," his sensor officer whispered, "you need to see this." On the display was a massive installation hidden in a nebula. Council ships moved around it constantly, and the energy readings were unlike anything in the database. Lee recorded everything, his mind racing. This was no ordinary weapon. "Get me every detail you can," Lee ordered. "Then we're getting out of here. Admiral Kim needs to know about this immediately." 3 days later, Lee's ship returned to Earth. He went straight to the command center where Admiral Kim, Secretary General Choi, Dr. Park, and Engineer Yang were waiting. "Show them," Lee said to his sensor officer. The holographic display lit up with images of the massive installation. Engineer Yang's eyes widened. "That's not possible. Those energy readings, they're preparing to ignite a star." "What?" Choi stepped closer to the display. Yang's fingers flew over his console, analyzing the data. "It's called the Stellar Purge according to the intercepted communications. It's an ancient Council weapon, built thousands of years ago as a last resort. It can turn a star into a supernova. If they use it on our sun," he didn't need to finish. Everyone understood. The entire solar system would be destroyed. Earth, Mars, all the colonies, billions of humans gone in an instant. Dr. Park felt sick. They would really do that? Commit genocide? "They're preparing it as an option," Lee said grimly. "I intercepted communications. If their conventional fleet fails again, Vexatheron wants the ability to destroy us completely." Admiral Kim stood very still, his face showing no emotion. But everyone who knew him recognized that stillness. It meant he was thinking faster than ever, calculating every possibility. "This changes everything," he said finally. "We're not just fighting for independence anymore. We're fighting for survival. Secretary General, I need your authorization to reveal everything we've been working on." Choi nodded slowly. "Do it. Show the galaxy what humanity has become." Engineer Yang pulled up classified files. The Cascade fields were just the beginning. We have nanite swarms that can deconstruct ships molecule by molecule. We have reality anchors that prevent FTL travel in entire star systems. And we have the Cascade singularity devices. "Explain," Choi said. Yang brought up a simulation. "They create localized gravity wells, strong enough to tear apart capital ships but precise enough to leave escape pods intact. We can destroy an entire fleet and still save every life." Dr. Park had been working on her own project. "I've been developing a psychological warfare campaign. We can broadcast directly to citizens of Council member species, bypassing their government censors. We show them the truth about what's happening. About the Stellar Purge? About their leaders' willingness to commit genocide?" She pulled up draft messages. They were powerful, emotional, designed to turn public opinion against the war. "If we can make the Council's own people question this conflict, we might avoid having to fight at all." Admiral Kim approved. "Launch the campaign immediately. Every Council citizen needs to know their leaders were willing to destroy an entire star system. Let them decide if that's the kind of government they want to follow." Over the next week, humanity's message spread throughout Council space. It appeared on personal devices, on public displays, in private communications. Billions of aliens saw images of the Stellar Purge, read about the Council's plan, learned that their government was considering genocide. The reaction was immediate. Protests erupted on dozens of worlds. Council members faced angry questions from their own populations. How could they justify destroying an entire species? Why was the Council so afraid of humanity? But it wasn't enough. Vextheron and his supporters continued preparing their fleet. They convinced enough Council members that humanity was too dangerous to exist. The military buildup continued. In Earth's command center, Admiral Kim watched reports of the approaching Council armada. This fleet was 3 times larger than the first one, with ships from every major Council military. They were coming with overwhelming force. Deploy all defensive systems, Kim ordered. Activate the Kuiper Belt grid. Prepare the Cascade Singularity devices, and get every civilian into deep shelters. If this goes wrong, I want to save as many lives as possible. Captain Lee returned to his ship, the Silence Bearer. His crew was ready. They had trained for this. But as he looked at the tactical display showing the massive Council fleet approaching, he wondered if even humanity's advanced technology would be enough. Secretary General Choi prepared one final message to send to the Council. She knew they might not listen, but she had to try. To the Galactic Council, she recorded, "We know about the Stellar Purge. We know you're prepared to destroy our entire system. We're broadcasting this message so every citizen of every Council world knows what their leaders planned. We offer you one final chance. Recognize our sovereignty. Accept us as equals, and we will share our technology. We will work together to advance all species. But if you attack us, if you try to genocide billions of innocent people, you will face the full extent of human capability. And I promise you, you have no idea what we're truly capable of. The choice is yours. Choose peace or choose war. But know that either way, humanity will survive." The message was sent across every frequency, in every language. It reached the Council fleet as they prepared to jump into the Sol system. It reached the Council chambers where Vextheron sat. It reached billions of citizens across the galaxy. Vextheron read the message and made his decision. "All ships jump to Earth. We end this today." On Earth, alarms began to sound. The Council fleet was coming. The war was about to begin, and humanity would finally show the galaxy exactly what happened when you tried to destroy the one species that had never learned to surrender. The Council armada emerged from FTL at the edge of the Sol system. 3,000 ships, the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. High Counselor Vextheron stood on the bridge of the flagship, his ancient eyes fixed on the display showing Earth in the distance. "Humanity ends today," he said coldly. "All ships advance. Destroy any resistance." The fleet moved forward. But as they entered the outer system, something strange happened. Space itself seemed to resist them. Ships began losing power. Navigation systems showed impossible readings. It was as if the laws of physics were different here. Admiral Kim watched from Earth's command center. The Kuiper Belt grid is active. Every asteroid, every piece of ice out there has a cascade field generator hidden inside it. They're flying into a trap they can't even see. Captain Lee's stealth fleet emerged from hiding. Hundreds of human ships appeared around the confused Council armada, but they weren't attacking. They were herding the Council ships into specific zones like shepherds guiding sheep. "All cascade field generators at maximum," Lee ordered. "Let's show them what happens when you bring a war fleet to our home." Throughout the Council fleet, systems began failing. But this was worse than before. Shields collapsed completely. Weapons became useless. Life support systems started showing errors. Even the mighty flagships found themselves helpless. Engineer Yang activated the next phase. Cascade Singularity devices are online, beginning precision targeting. Small points of intense gravity appeared throughout the Council fleet. They were surgically precise, tearing apart the largest warships section by section. But true to Yang's design, they avoided any area with life signs. Every crew member had time to reach escape pods before their ship was destroyed. On the Council flagship, Vextheron watched in horror as his fleet disintegrated. "This is impossible. How can they do this?" Observer Linari had secretly joined the fleet for this exact moment. She had hoped it wouldn't come to this, but she knew Vextheron too well. Now she confronted him on the bridge. "Stop this," she demanded. "Order the fleet to surrender." "You cannot win this." "No," Vextheron roared. "I will not surrender to primitives. Activate the Stellar Purge. If we cannot defeat them, we will destroy them." Linari's form flared with bright colors. "I cannot let you commit genocide." She moved faster than anyone expected, her energy form disrupting the controls for the Stellar Purge weapon. Alarms sounded as the device shut down. At the same moment, Admiral Kim broadcast to the entire Council fleet. "All Council vessels, this is Admiral Tae Yang Kim. Your ships are disabled. Your weapons are destroyed, but your crews are alive. Human ships are now approaching to rescue every single one of you. We could have killed you all. We chose not to. Throughout the wreckage of the Council fleet, human rescue ships appeared. They began collecting escape pods, treating injured crew members, providing supplies to disabled vessels. Council soldiers who had come to destroy humanity found themselves being saved by the very people they had tried to kill. Captain Lee personally led the rescue of Vexatheron's flagship crew. As he boarded the damaged vessel, he found the High Counselor being restrained by Observer Lin Ari and several of his own officers. They had refused to let him activate the Stellar Purge. "You betrayed me," Vexatheron hissed at his own people. "No," one of his officers said. "We betrayed the monster you had become. The Council was meant to protect life, not destroy it." Lee looked at the ancient leader who had caused so much trouble. "High Counselor, you're safe now. We're evacuating all survivors. You'll be returned to the Council chambers unharmed." "Why?" Vexatheron asked bitterly. "Why save us? We came to destroy you." "Because," Lee said simply, "we're not like you. We don't kill when we can save. We don't destroy when we can build. That's the difference between us." The battle lasted 3 hours. Not a single life was lost on either side. Every Council crew member was rescued. Every wounded soldier received medical care. Human medics worked alongside Council personnel, showing no distinction between friend and enemy. In Earth's command center, Dr. Park watched the rescue operations with tears in her eyes. "We did it. We won without becoming monsters." Secretary General Choi prepared her final message. This one would be broadcast not just to the Council but to the entire galaxy. Every species would hear it. Every citizen would know what had happened here. "People of the galaxy," she began. "Today the Galactic Council sent a fleet to destroy humanity. They came with 3,000 ships. They came prepared to commit genocide. They brought a weapon capable of destroying our entire star system." She paused, letting that sink in across billions of screens. "We defeated that fleet, not through superior firepower, though we had it. Not through cruelty, though they expected it. We defeated them through strategy, through technology, and through mercy. Every Council soldier who came here to kill us is now being cared for by human hands. Every injured enemy is being healed in human hospitals. Every disabled ship is being towed to safety by human crews." Her voice grew stronger. The Council said humanity was too dangerous. They were right, but not in the way they thought. "We are dangerous to old ways of thinking. We are dangerous to tyranny. We are dangerous to anyone who believes might makes right. But we are not dangerous to peace. We are not dangerous to life. We are not dangerous to those who treat us as equals." She looked directly into the camera. "The war is over. We won. But we choose to make this victory a beginning, not an ending. We offer medical aid, repairs, and safe passage home to every Council ship. We offer peace to any species that will accept us as equals. We offer our technology to any civilization that will share knowledge in return. The galaxy can continue the old way, with the strong ruling the weak, or we can build something better together. The choice is yours." As the transmission ended, something remarkable happened across the galaxy. On hundreds of worlds, citizens of Council species began to protest. Not against humanity, but against their own governments. They demanded to know why their leaders had tried to destroy a species that showed such mercy. They questioned whether the old order was worth preserving. In the Council chambers, emergency meetings began. High Counselor Vexatheron was removed from power, replaced by Ambassador Kelmora. The vote was unanimous. The galaxy had changed, and the Council would change with it or be left behind. Humanity had spoken through silence, then through demonstration, then through mercy, and the galaxy had no choice but to listen. 6 months had passed since the day humanity defeated the Council fleet. The Grand Chamber looked different now. A new seat had been added, positioned not below the others but level with them. Secretary General Bo-Ra Choi sat there, representing humanity as an equal member of the Galactic Council. Ambassador Kelmora, now serving as High Counselor, addressed the gathered representatives. Her voice was humble in a way the old Council had never been. "For 10,000 years we believed our way was the only way. We believed that because we were old we were wise. We believed that because we had maintained peace we had the right to control all others." She paused, her many eyes reflecting the chamber lights. "The humans taught us we were wrong." Around the chamber, representatives from dozens of species nodded. The galaxy had changed. Not through conquest, but through example. Humanity could have destroyed us, Kelmora continued. They had the power, the technology, the justification. Instead, they showed mercy. They saved our lives. And in doing so, they showed us what true strength looks like. Secretary General Choi stood to speak. The Council was not entirely wrong to be concerned about us. Humans do move fast. We do question everything. We do refuse to accept limits. But these are not weaknesses. These are the very qualities that allowed us to survive and thrive on a dangerous planet, in a difficult solar system, in a galaxy that saw us as children. She looked around at the assembled aliens. We do not want to rule. We want to grow. We want to learn. We want to share. Every technology we developed to defend ourselves, we now offer freely to any species that wants it. Not as a weapon, but as a tool for advancement. And they had. In the month since the conflict ended, humanity had opened research exchanges with dozens of Council species. Engineer Minho Yang now led a team of scientists from 20 different worlds, all working together to understand and improve the technologies humanity had created. Dr. Hannah Park had established cultural exchange programs. Human artists, musicians, and storytellers traveled to alien worlds while alien visitors came to Earth. The galaxy was discovering that humans had more to offer than just advanced technology. They had passion, creativity, and an endless curiosity about the universe. Observer Linari spoke from her chamber, her gaseous form swirling with satisfied colors. I have been documenting these events from the beginning. What happened here will be studied for thousands of years. The humans did something no one expected. They won a war without hatred. They gained power without corruption. They changed the galaxy without conquest. But not everyone accepted the new order. In the far reaches of the galaxy, former High Counselor Vexit Theron had gathered followers. Species that preferred the old ways, that believed in the hierarchy the Council had maintained. They had fled to form their own alliance, vowing to one day restore what they called the proper order. Admiral Tae-Yang Kim, now retired from active military service, spoke about this threat at a strategy meeting. They're not strong enough to attack us directly, but they'll cause problems on the frontier. They'll try to turn new species against us. Let them try, Secretary General Choi said. We've proven that our way works. We turned enemies into allies, not through force, but through example. The galaxy is watching. Every species that joins the new council sees that we offer partnership, not domination. Captain Jiwoo Lee had been given a new mission. He now commanded a joint task force of human and alien ships. Their job was to explore regions of space that the old council had declared too dangerous. Places where ancient threats might still exist, where new civilizations might be waiting to be discovered. On the bridge of his new ship, Lee looked at his crew. Humans worked side by side with crystalline beings, insectoids, energy creatures, and species he had never even heard of 6 months ago. They were united not by fear or force, but by shared curiosity and purpose. Captain, his first officer asked, do you think the Council truly regrets what they did? Lee thought about that. Some do. Others probably still believe they were right. But it doesn't matter. What matters is that we showed them a better way. Not through speeches or promises, but through actions. We demonstrated that strength doesn't require cruelty, that power doesn't require domination, and that the youngest species can teach the oldest. Back on Earth, Engineer Yang was working on his newest project. Now that humanity wasn't fighting for survival, he could focus on exploration. His new engines would allow ships to travel faster than ever before. His new sensors could detect things across impossible distances. The galaxy was vast, and humanity was just beginning to explore it. Dr. Park stood in the United Earth Government building looking at a wall covered with messages. They were letters from aliens who had been part of the Council fleet that attacked Earth. Many of them thanked humanity for saving their lives. Some apologized for their role in the conflict. Others asked to visit Earth, to learn more about the species that had shown such unexpected mercy. One letter stood out. It was from a young Council officer who had been rescued by human medics. You could have let me die, the letter read. I was your enemy. Instead, you saved me. You treated my wounds. You fed me. You sent me home to my family. I will never forget that. And I will spend the rest of my life making sure others know what humanity truly is. A year after the conflict, the Grand Chamber held a special ceremony. It was the anniversary of humanity's entry into the Council as equals. Representatives from every member species attended. The chamber was filled with light and sound as different civilizations celebrated in their own ways. Secretary General Choi gave a speech that would be remembered across the galaxy. A year ago, we stood in this chamber as subjects being given an ultimatum. Today, we stand here as equals, as partners, as friends. The Council demanded our submission. We responded with silence, then with demonstration, then with mercy. We changed the galaxy not by destroying the old order, but by showing there was a better way. She smiled, looking at the diverse assembly. Humanity did not seek this conflict, but once forced into it, we chose to fight in a way that honored our values. We proved that you can be strong without being cruel, that you can win without destroying, that you can change the world without becoming the very thing you fought against. As the ceremony ended, Captain Lee prepared for departure. His joint task force was heading into unexplored space, beyond the boundaries of known civilization. On his bridge, crew members from a dozen species worked together, united by curiosity and hope. He recorded his captain's log, knowing it would be preserved in Council archives for future generations. We're heading into the unknown, not as conquerors, but as explorers. Not to dominate, but to discover. The Council once feared what humanity might become. Now we're showing them. We're showing the entire galaxy that the future doesn't belong to the strongest or the oldest, but to those brave enough to reach for it together. The ship's engines hummed to life. As they jumped to FTL, Lee looked at the stars ahead and smiled. Humanity had spoken through silence. The galaxy had listened, and now, together, they would discover what was possible when fear gave way to cooperation, when ancient prejudice yielded to new understanding, and when the youngest voices in the galaxy taught the oldest the most important lesson of all, that true strength lies not in the power to destroy, but in the wisdom to build. The age of isolation had ended. The age of cooperation had begun, and the future belonged to everyone.